Hey, welcome back. This is Cetriya, Cetriya, and today I decided to do a quick sketch overview while I was at my parents' house and do a requested video of a marker review of the alternative Copic markers that I use, which is called Shuttle Art. They're very much similar to Uhuhu markers. I'd assume exactly the same actually. And I'm just gonna quickly do a quick sketch of my self-portrait avatar and talk about my thoughts and experiences and how I use these markers. So first off, before I get into it, just to note that paper really do make a difference, and I have not tried multiple papers as of yet with these markers, so later on I'll definitely do an update review about these markers. Also, the pen that I'm using, you have to be careful that your pen that you use do not end up being bleeding or kind of like fuzz out when using your markers, because sometimes the alcohol of the markers might eat into the actual ink. So you want to get yourself some decent ink markers. Pretty much any technical ink mark pen will work, such as Staedtler, Microns, Copic. Of course, Copic would work too. Right now I'm just using the Tombow ink technical pen, and I love them because of the varied line weights you can use. And I'm just working on what you can see here is a regular sketchbook. So first off, on the bat, I would say that the price of these markers are very affordable. I originally purchased these markers just to quickly do some concept art with colors, and so that way it's a portable feature for me when I go to cons and doing commissions. One of the things that I definitely did not like about the marker is the fact that, as you can see here, I'm constantly holding up markers. In my previous video of these was that the tops of the markers do not match with the actual ink that's flown, and again, they don't match once they dry out. So I would highly suggest you go ahead and make a color chart when working with these markers. I have purchased the 50 pack for roughly $20 at the time of this recording. I have heard that they have an 88 pack for about $45 off of Amazon. And perhaps in the 88 pack there is more color balance or more shades between the colors, but so far my experience based on a couple of images that these cheaper markers tend to stay away from a lot of pastel colors. They tend to stay away from rich colors such as the purples. I like it for having more shades of purples and shades of gray for some reason. So I still don't think I could just use these for full-on independent illustrations. I'll be very limited in my shades of color. Another thing that I've noticed, that unlike the more professional markers such as Copics or the ones that I tend to use, Letraset, which now I think was bought by Winsor Newton, is that the inks, whatever inks that they're using for their alcohol, does a number of things that I don't really like, and I don't think most of you would like. And that is, for one thing, you cannot really layer one color on top of each other. For some reason, when you do that, the ink kind of re-moist and then it starts to evaporate into the air, so you'll start to have these weird blotchy sections if you overlay too many colors at one time. Another thing, as you can see, I had started with the dark shades and then blended the markers on top. I'm used to working with chisel markers. The markers that I typically use are the Letraset, and they did not have a brush tip until much later. So that's not my limitation with coloring, but the fact that I have a lack of shades and lack of being able to layer the colors on top of each other. We also have the limitations of, it seems like the ink does not bleed out and blend, whereas with Copics or the Letraset that I use, they blend out, and oftentimes people had mistaken my marker illustrations for watercolors. Even seeing some of other YouTuber channels videos as they color with their markers, I can tell that the Copic marker blends far more softly and more of a painted looking quality, versus these markers are they have very sharp edges, sharp shading edges, and they don't blend out as well as they could be. I already know that I'm supposed to work pretty quickly with these markers, so that in itself again was not the issue. I just think that there's something about the quality of the inks that limit them to the amount of shades they can have, the fact that they cannot layer very well on top of each other all that much, and that they don't blend and bleed out well. But I have to say that the colors are very vibrant. They do work well with the inks, and of course the price cannot be beat. So if you're new to using marker illustration and you just want to get used to working in them, or you don't feel as confident for you to spend that much money on Copics or Letraset, or even the next tier brands such as Prisma colors or blick markers, because again those are not cheap markers still, then I would recommend these. But once you start working on more illustrations, or you want to do something far more complex with more subtle shades of color, then sorry to say, but eventually you're going to have to drop that money and purchase the higher quality markers. So anyways, hope this review was helpful. Again, I will make another review where I've used the markers far more in depth, and hopefully after I've gone through a couple of conventions, maybe you'll see me there, and then I'll work on other papers to see if that will make a difference with the quality of markers. Let me know if you have any feedback or questions. Just leave a comment below, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. So make sure you leave any kind of video requests that you'd like me to work on for this channel. See you then.